All right. Welcome to class. Okay, we're back. It's Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started today with an incredible topic at hand. And today we're talking all about this idea of how to recognize your own genius and how to self-study, how to be autodidact and really study properly. If, let's say, you're researching, you could be in school right now, you could be at work, right? And you're having difficulty concentrating or staying on task. But if you incorporate these things that I tell you, and they're things that come from the past, from elements of history, different things from other geniuses that will provide you a proper flow state framework in order to do this. Hey there, babe. Yeah, sure. I'd love that. Thank you. So today we're going to be talking all about how you can study. And first of all, I don't like the word studying because it has the word dying in it. Okay. Now, unconsciously, this word obviously affects us, right? So I've always changed the word studying to learning or brain training, something that sounds better than that word. Okay. Now, I know I used the word study in the title, but that's because that's what we use to describe this thing. Okay. So Tesla didn't just read books, he embodied vibrations, right? Einstein didn't just, do math, he daydreamed equations, correct? And Leonardo da Vinci, man, talk about a person who's merged the left and right hemispheres of the brain, right? That man, he painted, he dissected animals, I think, right? He engineered, he flirted with the cosmos all simultaneously. And these people weren't scholars, right? They weren't academics. They were warlocks of wisdom. And they all understood one thing. They didn't wait to understand a concept. They taught while they were learning. You teach best what you most need to learn. Maybe you've heard this statement before, right? You teach best what you most need to learn. So the fact that I teach flow state all over the planet, right? I'm a global consultant, a coach, and I help people tap into that state of mind. Nothing else matters but the task at hand. How incredible that moment is. And I've been fascinated with this state. But as I've been learning about it, I've been teaching others. This is why I started this channel, because I would learn myself. I would learn twice because I taught, you see? So while teaching isn't a destination, I understand it as a stargate, as a portal towards my best self, which is a teacher, ultimately, right? So you're trying to understand before you act. That's like waiting to be ready before your first kiss, right? So if you're always waiting, right, you can't possibly activate the moment that it actually happens. You see, so don't wait to teach just because you're learning, just because you're a student. Teach others what you know. And by doing that, this is what separates the geniuses from just regular normies, okay? Feynman knew this, right? He took notes like a sheep, talked it out. He didn't even fully get it yet, right? The concepts that he was exploring, especially because he made his ignorance dance, and in doing so, he turned his ignorance into intimacy. So here is a savage secret, savage shaman secret for all of you. Understanding is a verb. It's not a souvenir. Okay. You process the fire while standing in the fire. You simplify the concept till your 5-year-old nods, your inner child nods and says, damn, That's obvious. And if it isn't, then you go back to the drawing board, back to the lab again. Oh no, back to the lab again, back to the ring. You wrestle it out again. You don't label it as failure. You call it alchemy in process. Something has to be destroyed and distilled down in order for you to go through dark night of the soul and come out of the other side with the elixir of life. I'm going through this right now because I'm really pushing myself at work and I felt myself kind of burning out a little bit. And I've had to slow myself down and teach myself, my body, to relax because I'm not going to really help my aging and longevity by stressing about things. That's going to make me age rapidly. And I want to remain in this youthful exuberance for the rest of my life. You know, of course, it might not be the case, right? As you grow older, you get stiffness, body aches, and all this kind of stuff. But I think that as I've been working on being more flexible, working with my body, understanding the fascia, understanding that there is this amazing thing when I'm doing yoga, for instance, there's this amazing pocket of resistance that you're leaning into. And this is kind of what we need in order to get started. Okay. So where the mindless get filtered out, all those, digital dopamine junkies out there are just downloading 9 PDFs, highlighting everything and then remembering nothing, right? That's not learning to me. You're just scanning things. You're not getting what the concept. That's like fast food for the brain, right? You want a mental McNuggets, then don't build a philosopher king, a philosopher queen. Philosophia, the love of wisdom. Do you have a philosophy of your study, of your own mental frameworks? Right? So, spatial memory, physical notebooks, memory palaces, and sticky notes scribbled like cave paintings on your wall, right? Kind of like a crackhead technology. Okay. Your hippocampus loves that. And every genius worth their salt worked in a space, not just cyberspace, right? Still think you're too dumb to be a genius? You've got genes. The word genes means you've got genius. Okay, it's the same word, root word. Okay, and the same word for genie, right? When we wish upon something, right? So grow it. It's like a muscle. It's like a weapon. It's like a vine curling around the tree of life. Okay, and we got to strengthen this thing. We got to understand it better. All right. Let me edit a few settings around here. All right, fantastic. Anybody have any questions thus far? Just type it in the live chat, or you can just type it in later. I'll be happy to answer, and I'm here to teach, man, right? I'm here to teach and learn. Okay. So wield words like weapons, memorize them, speak them, slam them down like Thor's Mjolnir, okay? Thor's hammer. And make your vocabulary a shield that doubles as a boomerang. What do I mean by this? You learn word etymology, the root words of what the word actually means. You learn rhetoric. You get dangerous with your language, right? Learning a new language can be very difficult, right? So you build a damn library, not in the cloud, not in your room, in your soul. A library in your soul, in your bones, right? I have a few favorite books that I keep going back to over and over again. One of them is the Kybalion. Another one is like Bruce Lee's daughter's, Shannon Lee's book, The Way of the Water. Another one is, you know, let's say, what was that book called, man? It was something like Insanity, turning your turning your ideas into rocket fuel, turning your inner demons into rocket fuel, something like that. It's by Jamie Cato. I'm not remembering the name right now, but these are some books that I've always come back to, you know? And it's cool because I got to speak to Jamie on a podcast. He used to, be a singer, an artist, right? And creative people, if you ever look at them, they have a vibe of their own. They have a very playful quality to them. So they're not chasing clarity. They're actually embracing comedy. They understand this world is just funny at times, you know? It's not to be taken so serious, right? And when we get really serious, we actually stop learning because the gravitas and the seriousness makes us rigid again. Just like you get rigid in your body, you get rigid in your mind too, right? You're stubborn, like you have different ways that you think, and then you won't go outside the norm of that, right? So teach what you don't fully understand, loud, wrong, messy, make mistakes, then you refine those mistakes. Write with your hands and feel the ink, right? Don't just type stuff. Build memory palaces from actual rooms that you know. Okay, I have a video on creating a memory palace. I can send it over to you if you want. Okay, so track the pattern of your ignorance until it sings the song of truth. Okay, speak what you know out loud to a tree, to a ghost, to yourself, and become a word warrior, right? Not a keyboard disciple, a word warrior. Remember, genius is not inherited, genius is activated. Okay, so welcome to the temple of the self-learner, the autodidact. Now go transmute thyself. Okay. Now let's make something clear. You might be watching this video trying to pass your exams or something like this, right? You have some exam that you're working on and it's like tough for you and you're trying to download divine data into your nervous system and also embody it like a scholar shaman that you secretly are. So if you want to study more effectively, that's amazing. But it's not this limp, weak, read and forget nonsense, right? I'm going to read it and then I'll forget about it the next week, right? I'm talking about hyperspatial, soul sparking, time bending, retention magic. That is where the real study is. So studying is not cramming the night before for a test. It's a sacred art. Okay. You thought this was about books? This is about building a mental palace, not just cardboard hut, half-baked, Google summaries or WikiHow articles that you read. This is like a monk that is ongoing on a process, right? Have you ever seen a monk quit midway of a mantra? No, because discipline is devotion when it's rooted in your purpose. And I don't care if you're juggling 6 jobs, you've gone through a breakup, you're going through existential dread. If I can write poetry, right, and still eat memory palaces for breakfast, so can you. Okay. If I could teach online like this, why can you not do the same? What's the difference? Right? It's just I've gone through the struggle of making mistakes, looking silly in front of a camera, not knowing what to say, stuttering on my own words, but doing it anyway, because that's how I'm going to learn. That's how I'm going to build the skill, the discipline, the consistency, right? The consistency is what matters. So schedule like a sovereign, track your sessions like you're preparing for spiritual warfare. You got your dates, your books, your topics, you got your memory palace layout on lock, digital, analog, I don't care. Just make the invisible visible. Okay. Write your own start and stop times, not for guilt, but because ritual requires a rhythm to it. There's the law of rhythm in the Kybalion. Okay. There's a specific rhythm and a momentum to learning. So you don't just sit down and open your books. You prime yourself, play some classical music, you stretch your body, right? You lock the door so no one can disturb you, close the blinds down, maybe, right? You do certain activities that tell your brain, I'm about to sit down and work. I'm not going to work and then scroll a bit of Instagram, then get distracted, and then walk around the room and then do something else and then, get really heady and then go outside and I need to ground and then come back and then suddenly you're doing something else. You're too chaotic with it. Sit down, deep work, full focus, noise canceling headphones, right? Gamma waves in the background. Tap into, if you have ADHD or you're struggling with that, there's some certain frequencies online that can help with that. Okay. But don't use these sounds as crutches either, because you have to work with your own silence as well, right? So stop taking notes like you're trying to impress your future ghostwriter, okay? Take notes like a mage carving glyphs into a grimoire. That's how you want to take notes, right? You summarize in your own words. You draw that weird diagram that looks kind of strange. You doodle right in the corner of your book, okay? Like I used to do in school. I'm sure a lot of us creatives, we loved that, right? Just doodling little things in the corner of the book. Hey, that's how the excess energy gets transmuted, right? So if we have ADHD, we have this excess energy in our minds, right? But that's also what makes us great channelers, right? Because we have all of these, you know, internal stations. What up, Mathis? So, or IC222, I should say. So summarize in your own words, right? And even if it looks like toddler graffiti or something, you go with it, you roll with it, right? Anyway, strategy 3 is you build your memory palace. Pomodoro, yeah, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, right? That's what he's referring to. And you put that information into the space, right? You lock it in with emotion and imagery. I'm going to teach you guys to properly visualize as well in this particular lesson, because I think a lot of people are doing it very incorrectly. And then they're not getting the results that they truly want, right? Da Vinci didn't just study, right? He ritualized memory into muscle, correct? So what are you feeding your awareness before you sit down and study? Are you listening to a TikTok drama, or are you listening to like a Gregorian chant, right? Or something like this? Remember that the first impression lingers. Prime your mind like a runway for a divine aircraft that's going on, okay? Your brain ain't a trash bin, right? It's a sanctum. So speak it, write it, read it, listen to it, feel it. Memory is not a noun, it's a dance. So you have to cycle it through all your senses like a mantra on fire. Illustrate that shit, right? If you're too tired to study, if you're hungover, if you're depressed, good. Draw it. Sketch out the concept like a caveman trying to explain quantum physics to somebody, okay? Now, you're not going to be Monet or Picasso on day one, but you're still an alchemist with a pencil. You're still an alchemist with a Sharpie, okay? So you draw it out. I really appreciate Mathis because he draws out his downloads that he gets through the channeling sessions, right? He'll draw it out because that's the way his brain understands it. The most pivotal notes and words are floating around, and then there's usually some drawings and diagrams, right? He's letting his hemispheres dance. So this is the thing, you got to walk, shift subjects, have breaks, when you're working, but make them sharp, right? You just walk around, you shift your cognition, and then you have like a tactical recovery where you just let go, right? Like I will loop like a Rumi poem in my mind as I'm doing something else, which requires me to be more um, left brain, right? If you use my left brain a lot, but then I'm opening up my right brain so it can support my left brain. So this is how you want to work with both hemispheres, okay? And actually, that's one of the ways to enlighten, right? First thing in the morning, do a brain dump. I get reminded to integrate it as it is a super valuable technique. Absolutely. This is what Julia Cameron calls the morning pages, right? In her book, The Artist's Way, I believe. Yeah, very powerful. Yeah, whatever's coming up in the morning, just write it down. Very good. Okay. Plan to plan to plan. Replan when your life kicks your teeth in, right? Make planning a part of this process because the universe reacts to those who show up with a blueprint, right? So you don't need more motivation. You need more momentum. Every time that you write, read, learn as you're teaching, right? Teaching as you're learning, and you're pulling lightning into your bones. So then study doesn't become a preparation, it becomes an initiation, right? So grab your pen, sharpen your mind, and remember, real students aren't chasing good grades, okay? They're embracing godhood. They're embracing the excellence of the knowledge, the gnosis, the understanding, correct? Because of astral influences, else you saturate your mind till overflow. Rough lesson, no joke. Yeah. This is why you got to study like a savage, remember like a mystic, right? Your memory is your wand. And you have to learn how to wield your memory. Otherwise, old weird memories are going to try to creep in, right? Especially through the astral, like Mathis is saying. So this is why visualization is not just daydreaming, right? It's a kind of a cosmic architecture that we're really building. So if you want to learn how to visualize, not just the Pinterest board, feel good, lukewarm, law of attraction fluff, I'm talking about like the primal reality bending, multidimensional vision sorcery. I'm talking about precision manifestation that slaps the universe across the face and says, that's my timeline, hand it over, right? Let's begin. So, first of all, do you have a handwritten vision statement of your visualization? Like how different brands have a mission statement, do you have a vision statement? No? Then what are you visualizing? A cloud, a TikTok trend, right? You write it with your hand on paper, right? It's a ritual seal, a neural contract that you're seeing. Your brain is seeing the words like pictures, and pictures become your prophecy, right? Second, you stop thinking you're visualizing as you're just seeing things, right? You're not just seeing things. That's rookie behavior. You don't just see your dream life, you become your dream life. Say it with me. I don't imagine the vision, I embody the vision. Okay? You cook in it, you stew in it like a jacuzzi, you sit in it, right? And that's what we do. So, cave cogs is a way to remember this. Okay? This acronym, remember this. Cave cogs, right? Cogs in a cave. C is kinesthetic, okay? We're spelling cave with a K, whatever, right? How does it feel like in your body, the manifestation? How does it feel like in your body? Okay. A, auditory. What do you hear when you're living the dream? What are people telling you? What are you hearing in the environment? Okay. V, visual. You see it too, right? Most people just focus on V. Okay. That's why they're not visualizing properly because they're only seeing it. Okay. E is emotional. Feel like it's already done. That feeling, you want to tap into that. That's the emotional cave we have, right? K-A-V-E. Yep. Then we have E. Oh, no, we C, right? Cave cogs. C is conceptual. So what's the meaning behind your actual goal? Right? What's the concept? What's the expanded concept that it's relating to, right? O is olfactory, so smell the success, right? What does flow state smell like? I got asked this by a image consultant a long time ago, Pablo Mentor. He asked me that question, what does flow state smell like? What does flow state look like? What does flow state sound like? And he got me to really prioritize my brand because then I started to understand, okay, this is really what he means, right? Gustatory. Taste that celebratory mango lassi, right? Like 31. What does it taste like? Right? What does flow state taste like? I don't know. Right? Sweat? Who knows? Right? S is spatial. Cave cogs, right? S, spatial. Where are you in the third dimension? Grounded in, right? So if your visualize doesn't activate your nervous system, it's just a Pinterest board in your head, right? So use this cave cogs, what is it called again? Analogy? No, acronym, right? Use the acronym properly. Use mind maps, you know. You ever seen a monk with a spreadsheet? No, he draws mandalas, right? Got to make mind maps. Draw out your goals, put it on your wall, right? Like it's a personal North Star. Don't just imagine you're being a rock star. You got to draw the damn stage out. This is what it looks like. Smell the sweat. You understand the fan screaming. You walk in, right? You feel the wood of the guitar. Now you're cooking. Now you're cooking reality, right? Like a culinary chef. This is a very good positive psychology technique where you write your perfect day every morning, right? Like a mantra, but it's weaponized. I tried this once. It's very powerful. I still have it, I think. My perfect day. I think I walked out in a garden, stretched, did some yoga, had a shower outdoors in the garden, went to the beach right after, did something there, came back, had a smoothie. It was like a whole process that I was visualizing my perfect day, right? I still have an internal feeling of that. Actually, when I was in Bali, there was something quite similar that I had manifested from doing that visualization. So I wake up strong, you know, I'm breathing in power. I'm doing the Kapalbhati maybe. I'm writing down my truths. I'm dancing through the chaos in the morning, right? Just shaking it off and being a little bit improvised, right? Acronyms are powerful, noting that. Awesome, man. Cave cogs, yeah. So I am loved, you know, the Mars. I am loving wildly, let's say. So do this daily until your subconscious bows and says, as you wish, master. Okay. So if you want mental gains, then you got to sit down and visualize using the cave cogs, one sense at a time, closing your eyes, smelling it, walking through it. You know, you don't just see success, you're rehearsing success. Is this making sense, guys? So you're using your nervous system until it can't tell the difference between fiction and reality, right? So if you want to be a world famous guitarist, but you can't do a bar chord, you got to get real. You got to visualize with honesty, okay? Visualize within your current edge, but keep the vision stretching you because the images and the pictures, it will stretch your mind, but don't fantasize beyond your effort level. That's how people drown in their dreams, right? But do pivot when life throws lemons or arthritis or something, right? Dreams are fluid. You got to keep swimming through them. You got to keep on flowing, right? So break the dream down into micro actions, you know? Dream big, but build small. One call, one draft, one repetition. Every big ass vision is just 10,000 small, non-sexy steps stacked like bricks. Okay. Vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. Okay. So if you don't visualize, you'll drift in this life. You'll compare yourself to others. You'll be like, oh, what is that person doing over there? They must have it the right way, right? But if you don't act on that, then you're drowning, right? Because you're creating more of a split and a separation. Like I'm like this, they are like them. Not the oneness that you understand when you see somebody succeeding, like, oh, that's what I'm seeing actually. That's within me too, right? So if you're seeing somebody doing something really cool and you appreciate that, that's actually within you too. That's what you're recognizing. You're seeing your golden shadow in that other person. You see? So this is why it's so important. Write your vision, use the cave cogs till you sweat it out, mind map your destiny like it's sacred geometry, break it into micro rituals, stop waiting, start building, start becoming, start teaching. Start teaching, start putting it out there because you're not here to chase goals. You're here to download the blueprints from the soul realm and build temples in real time. So visualization is a kind of a spell casting. Don't waste it on fantasies, guys. Make it into a lifestyle. People love to romanticize genius, right? Like it's some glittering character trait that you can sprinkle over your CV or your resume. But let me say this with no incense smoke and no fluff. Smart and creative people aren't made of different meat. They just burn hotter in the soul and stare longer into the void. Now, I once dove deep into two titans, Newton and Feynman. So these were like two avatars of intellect. They rewrote laws of reality, right? But both of them had a very different personality, night and day difference. Newton was a storm cloaked in skin, bro, right? He was solitary, he was super bitter. He was a man whose only real chemistry was with calculus and vengeance. Okay. The dude beefed with his friends and his enemies alike, virgin till death, and probably preferred it that way. You know what I mean? Fenneman, he was a samba swinging, bongo slapping, joke cracking, woman loving wizard. He lit up rooms with his charm, right? But when the real magic happens, he was in the lab completely alone, dreaming in quantum codes, right? So you see the pattern here. It's not personality, it's not social skills, it's not charisma, it's the solitude, it's locking in, it's aloneness, not a loneliness, it's an immersion, an all one, not an alone. It's a sacred solitude. You know, I grew up as an only child. I crave that sacred solitude, you know, all my life. And that's what I saw. I grew up very misunderstood. Sure, I had my group of friends, you know. I always magnetized friends wherever I went. But the friends I always magnetized were always a little bit weird like me, you know? A little bit off kilter, a little bit offbeat. They're not a regular guy, man. They're an outsider. They're somebody who is an outlaw, an outcast, somebody who understands differently. And these were the people that always became my best friends, right? So this taught me this kind of internal cave where we wrestle with the infinite. Feynman might have been the party on the surface, but in the quantum realm, he was a monk, just like Newton was. And this thread, it weaves through all minds that I've studied, guys. Baggage, uh, Turing, right? The Turing machine, Ada Byron, right? They weren't just thinkers, they were obsessive concentrators. They had a love affair with abstraction, right? They were showing devotion in pure form, a ferocity of focus that most mortals never get to taste. So genius is not about being quirky, it's about being possessed by the divine, possessed by a vision, haunted by an idea, married to the question, even when there's no promise of an answer. And there's a beautiful butterfly outside my window right now. Transformation season. That's what it is. And it's orange, so sacral chakra path. Amazing. My creativity is coming back online, and I'm really starting to feel it. And the geniuses, what do they have in common? They disappear into the mind and they return bearing lightning, right? They can go into their own inner world, think about something so deeply, and come back with the elixir of life. This is the real skill set, guys. Okay. Thank you so much for the session. Blessing every session. Have a fantastic day. Upward Spiral Gang. Yep, I'm gonna end it soon too, brother. Thank you so much for tapping in. Have a great meal. Let's evolve and elevate today. And remember, for your learning sessions into teaching sessions, teach somebody, talk about it, walk with it, right? Don't just read and consume information. Do something with the information. Go to a random chapter of a book, pick out one gold nugget, do something with it. I'm talking to the self-help junkies, guys. I'm talking to the people. Just stick to one book, go to one chapter, pick out something, and go put it into action, right? Your guides will help you. Your spirit guides will help you. I'm guaranteeing this to you. They will pick out the right chapter of the right book that you need to read. You just activate the Primal Sutra Nexus, you activate these codes, and then you go into it. And I'm telling you, it's going to manifest in such a powerful propellant, an accelerator for you, right? So sometimes we just got to go with the improvisational impulse, the flux of it all, and understand what the signs really are. Not decode them from an analytical framework mind, but to embrace them, accept them, and make them a part of your self-love and resonance and eminence. Okay. You got this. We got this. Upward Spiral Gang. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Hope you have an incredible day. Busy day today at work. Let's evolve. Okay. We got this. You got this. Let's win. Peace. Osa. Let's go. Peace, guys.